Hi guys, Al from Revhigh here today, and we've got this MK6 Golf R. This has a hybrid turbo from 999 Automotive. It's rated at 450 horsepower. It's got a cold air intake, downpipe. It's already got the high pressure fuel pump installed. We're installing the low side. We're installing methanol injection, and today this video will include the Vaitrix methanol system, and it will have a brief guide on how to install this system. This particular Vaitrix methanol system is the basic kit, and you use a boost gauge to control when the methanol is actuated and when it's turned off. This particular boost gauge is a billet boost gauge. It does have a remote, and on this particular software inside of this gauge, you can actually dial in. To start off with 30% spray, and then you can go up to 100% spray on the methanol system. So that's really cool. There are some other systems that Vaitrix have with an ECU, and you can dial in the methanol down from 5% up to 100% with a 3D map. This is a 2D methanol system, so I'll explain a bit more of that later. In regards to this system, the coolest thing about it is the methanol tank. So this looks like a subwoofer, but it's actually a methanol tank, and our pump will sit in behind there. So that's the pump here, and it sort of gets hidden away in there, probably this way, that way, it'll be hidden away in there. So that's one of the highlights of this particular kit. It's got a breather here, and it's a stainless steel fitting. This is a 10-litre tank. And that will just sit in the back. There's no having to do any crazy mounting of methanol tanks anymore with our system. Hey guys, I just got Dylan here, just talking about the boost gauge installation on the E8113 engine. So in the engine bay, there is a manifold sensor that will plug in down here.
Yep, so straight to the charge pipe there, you've got your map boost sensor.
Oh yep, down there.
So the system for the Vaitrix piggybacks into that with a female and male to go between.
Yep.
Then picks off one signal wire that we've heat wrapped, sent through to the OE, basically big wiring plug in the firewall there. So we've sent that through.
Is able to point it where it is?
Just here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit tucked away in there.
That's a good way to feed it through for the gauge.
That's it. It's got a couple of little nipples on there for you to cut and have little openings, cut size. So then come through underneath the dash on this side. It's quite easy to pass it in through the HVAC system in the center, and then straight up under the steering column into your fuse panel.
Cool. And do we want to talk about the actual gauge itself?
The gauge itself's really quite easy. From the pump, there's 3 wires, 4 because I've decided to run the power for the pump up to the same location for the power of these. So we have 3 harnesses here for the gauge.
So that just plugs straight into the back of the gauge there?
Yep.
So there's nothing we have to do that's complicated on this end?
No, not even a little bit.
As far as here, we've gone off, that's the gauge wiring here.
Yeah, so these are just temporarily hooked up to places to make sure that they'd actually work. We've still got to inline circuit them.
Okay. And what will the colors on the back of the gauge, and what are they relating to? So we have red.
So red and yellow there is constant and ignition for the actual power supply to the gauge.
So depending on which car you've got, you'll have to find a suitable fuse to piggyback off.
They also have a blue wire which is sometimes illuminated, but it's not used on many models.
Okay.
But it's supplied with all of them. So then yellow and blue is the positive and negative to the pump. To the pump controller from the gauge. So the 3 harnesses, you've got the 1 harness down the bottom.
Yep.
That's the 3 wires that are controlling the actual power supply to the gauge.
Yep.
The harness up here is controlling the yellow and blue. So that's to the actual pump controller.
Yep.
So that's power supply, voltage, rah.
Yep.
And then the smaller wire is the last plug, and that's just the piggyback wire to the sensor.
Okay, cool. And then that just mounts wherever you want it. We'll be mounting it here. We just wanted to leave it loose, just so we can get like customs confirmation on exactly where it goes. And we wanted just to film the video. So that's that side of things. Just to show you again, a bit closer up. It's turning on now. I'll turn the ignition on. So now we are going to go into boost again, this one. We're going to go low spray, and that's set around 14 PSI. You click up or down to change it. Just as an example, like that. So maybe I'll put it to 15. Enter. The middle, and then high spray. You do have to be pointing it at the remote, at the gauge. So I'm going to go maybe up 1 digit, so up, and then press enter. And then press enter again to get out of boost mode. And we're set up. So in the back, we've mounted the pump.
And the voltage controller.
And the voltage controller on the side of the pump. So it's just in the back there. Hook them both up. Like, do you put anything on the methanol line?
Every single one I go a bit overboard with, a little bit of Teflon and a little bit of hydraulic sealer.
Okay, hydraulic sealer, yep.
Yeah, it doesn't dry, it holds a constant bond, and it's rated to like 300,000 PSI.
Okay, great. And then we've got the wiring off the top, red and blue as we were saying before.
Yeah.
And you've ran a separate red.
No, sorry, this red.
Yeah.
This here, that plugs into the controller.
Okay.
So the yellow and blue come out the bottom here.
Yep.
And they feed through in the harness.
Yeah.
With a black that splits off to a ground that I've made.
Yep. Okay, cool.
And then the methanol line we're just running through. They have a factory plate in the floor under these here. And we've just run it through that plate. Because they supply you with a little foam filled spot. It's brilliant.
Oh, cool. And then you've also run a separate.
Yeah, that's my ground there. Just to be sure it's constantly earthed.
Yep. So in the back we have a nice clean install of our methanol like subwoofer.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is pretty cool.
The base tank.
Yeah, so it fills up from the top here. If it's a later model one, there will be a like a methanol level sensor. This particular one like hasn't been optioned, so it won't be used. And we'll just spin it around.